The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
The webinar will begin in 4 minutes. The webinar will begin in 2 minutes. The webinar will begin in 2 minutes. The webinar will begin in 1 minute. Thank you for joining today's user group webinar. My name is Peter Wyatt, the CTO at Cadmium CD, and today we're going to be going through a number of new developments that we've made. But it's really going to be an in-depth look at some of the things we've shared in the last large webinar we did a couple of weeks ago, so that you can really see the details behind how some of these new features work and get a sense of how you might like to use them for your own products. If you're new to the users group, the purpose of the users group is a monthly get together to hear about what's new at Cadmium CD for new features, refined features, and adjustments to the way our products work. It's a great way to learn about what's new, and I really want to encourage you to put questions into the questions area throughout the webinar. When we get to the end, we're going to address all the questions that have come in. Just to alert you to some upcoming webinars that we have. On April the 30th, this Thursday, we've got a webinar on sponsorship for online events. Then a week later, we have one on attendee engagement, really getting the most out of your attendees' time for your online event. Then a week after that, engaging your conference community. And then on May 21st, we have our next big webinar on virtual events. That's going to cover a lot of new features, some of which we're going to tease a little bit during today's user group meeting. Then we've got the May user group meeting on the 28th of May. And finally, a webinar at the beginning of June on why you should go virtual instead of canceling your event and not choosing to share the information online with your attendees and exhibitors. All our webinars start at 1:30 p.m. East Coast time. Every now and again, we do have to reschedule a webinar, but this schedule is pretty tight that you can see here. So we'd love to see you attend and learn more about how you can get the most out of Cadmium CD's products. The agenda for today is going to start with My Cadmium. We're going to talk about some changes that we're making to the product dashboards that I think will make your life easier to make certain tools quicker to get to, as well as give you more information just 1 or 2 clicks away from the starting point for your products. Then we're going to take a deep dive into the EventScribe website and go into a number of new features. I'm going to start by giving you an early preview of the features that our engineering team is preparing for the May webinar, which will include things like an attendee activity feed, virtual booth browsing with enhanced booths, and other improvements like metrics on live streams and video chats, things like that. Then we're going to get our fingers dirty and actually get into the nitty-gritty details of e-posters. I'm going to show you a wide variety of settings that you can use to configure how your e-posters appear to attendees. And I don't expect you to, come away remembering every setting we show, but I'm hoping a couple of the settings really resonate with you so you can get a sense of how you might want to use them for your own website. Then we're going to get into how you configure video chats, how you configure live streams for your website. And finally, we're going to talk about managing the rebooking and the cancellations for your 2020 events with the Expo Harvester. So to jump things off, we're going to start on the product dashboards for My Cadmium. This is what the modified and upgraded Expo Harvester dashboard looks like. First and foremost, and maybe this is a little controversial, but we've made some adjustments to the main menu at the top. We've shuffled some things around, and we've added a couple of items. So Expo Data, which you can see is the second menu item from the left, that is how you get to your booths and your companies and your sponsor levels. Power Tools is a new item that was originally buried much further down on the page, and now it's going to be front and center. And we've got some new power tools that we're introducing over the next month, which we think you're really going to love. Power tools are essentially little mini modules within a product that allow you to do things. Sometimes they're really simple, like a tool to fix the title casing on titles, and other times they're more involved, like the Champions module in the Education Harvester. And then we've got an add-on section, which is used to show the various add-ons that you've bolted onto your products, things like live streaming, video chats, Harvester reviews, scavenger hunt, things like that. So a little bit of a modification to the menu. Then further down, we've got the calendar. The calendar has received quite a large upgrade. You can see in this relatively busy event, we've got 5 different rows on the calendar. You're used to seeing just one row, and that row was simply to show you the level of engagement from attendees using the product, or users in this case, because it's the Expo Harvester. Now you're going to see rows for boomerangs. You're going to see them for missions and integration, the milestones on your project, as well as travel if travel's involved in the event. And then you can see on the bottom left, we've got a new toolbox area, which allows you to put widgets on your dashboard for helpful information. Now, this is something you're going to see really talked about at the May webinar as we introduce more and more widgets you can put on. Things like the ability to favorite reports or worksheets, put favorites in for the places you go to the most in the product, or putting statistical widgets like this rebooking widget here, which gives you a quick view of which companies have rebooked, which have canceled, and which have not yet made a decision for how they're going to roll their 2020 exhibition money into a virtual event or next year. And we'll talk about that in some detail later in today's webinar. Now, when you roll over different parts of the calendar in these new dashboards, you're going to get a lot of information. So you can see the green text in the middle of the screen here. This shows you when I roll over the boomerangs row, this particular day of the week had 2 boomerangs completed. It shows you what the boomerangs were, what products they were for. And this is a multi-product calendar. So you can see that there was a website boomerang closed. There was our education harvester related one closed that was about the scorecard migration. And then I've also got a rollover on the left-hand side for the project milestones. And this shows all the different milestones for this particular project. And you can see they're all gray dates and they're strike-through. And the reason that is the case is because all those milestones have passed and the project manager has marked these off as being completed. If it's not a completed milestone, you'll see the date in white and it won't have a strike-through through it. This is a great way to get a really quick bird's eye view of how you and your project manager are doing at getting your product ready to launch. Now, some of you may be a little concerned about where things might have gone on the menu for the Expo Harvester that you're used to seeing. So what used to be the company's item is now a multifaceted menu item that allows you to get to companies, booths, and sponsors. Now, it doesn't require any extra clicks. We were very careful not to make it more inconvenient for you. When you roll over the second item in the menu, you're going to get presented with this list of 3 items: companies, booths, and sponsors. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to roll over it and you're going to pick companies, booths, or sponsors and go into the same pages that you're used to going into. And one of the things I really like about how we've done this is whenever you're in a page within any one of these menu items, that menu item is going to highlight in blue. So you kind of know where you are at any given point within the Expo Harvester. Now, the changes that we're going through here to both the Expo Harvester menu and the dashboard changes in general will all go live tomorrow morning. If you have any questions about them, or there's something you're looking for that you thought used to be in a certain place that you're having trouble finding, I don't think that'll be the case, but if you run into any problems, please, of course, reach out to your project manager, and they'll be happy to help find something that you're used to being in a certain place that isn't there. Again, the key things are companies, booths, and sponsors are now on one menu item. And if you used to use the power tools that was kind of buried on the bottom left of the page, now it's a main menu item right in the middle of the page. Now, the EventScribe website is going to have a similar upgrade. So you're going to have the same sort of rich calendar view. You're going to have the option to have things on the 4th panel over under content. And again, the May webinar is where we're really going to open up the options for you to do that. And you can see here, I've rolled over the blue 2 in the missions row, and it shows me that there were 2 missions completed on that particular day. Now, I'm in the website dashboard here, but these 2 missions were scorecard missions. And the reason I wanted to show you this is that it's really important to see that you can see the progress on all of your missions in these dashboards. So you don't have to like go from one product to the other just to see, oh, when was that migration mission done? Like, you're going to see it right here. And if there's more than one mission done on a day, then that blue circle is going to have a 1, a 2, a 3, depending on how many missions were completed on that day. You can also change the focus on that calendar. You'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a little drop down that says 32 weeks back. Now I selected 32 weeks back just so I could take a screenshot that showed some good examples of how the calendar is used. But there's lots of ways you can focus it. You can focus it looking forward in the future from now. You can look at it in the past leading up to now. You can focus it around the time leading up to your event or the time leading away from your event. It's really powerful. You'll notice in the integration row, there's a lot of red circles. Red circles indicate when we haven't set up milestones for that component of the project. Now, sometimes there's a good reason for that. Sometimes it's not necessary. In this case, sometimes an integration might be canceled, or maybe a timeline wasn't necessary, and so one was not set up. But we do our best to put timelines in for projects, whether it's an integration timeline or it's an actual timeline for the product itself. And the timeline for the product is represented on the milestones row right above that integration row. And we've got two milestones that you can see kind of ghosted out. There's a blue one and a purple one. Now, when they're ghosted out like that, that means that they've been completed. And if you roll over them with your mouse, you'll see that it explains when they were completed. And what we try to do is set these milestones up, work towards achieving them so we can all launch the products on time, and then click on them, which our project managers do, to close them out and ghost them out so that at any given point, anyone who's looking at your dashboard is going to know which milestones are done, which milestones are not done. It just makes it really, really easy for all of us. Now, we've made a number of changes to the new pages that are linked, or the updated pages that are linked from the main menu. So in the EventScribe website, we've updated the content page. This has been live now for about a month, but I've just got a screenshot of it here to show you. We've been gradually upgrading tools. So in this case, in the foreground, I've got the track color tool highlighted in the foreground. Obviously, really nice upgrade that we put in last month for that. Makes it really nice and convenient to edit your track colors. And then in the Power Tools area, we've been gradually building out Power Tools on the website, and you're going to see more and more things added here over the next few months. But the first couple we've added are a launch website button, which is a simple one-click launch to get into your website and test it. We've also got a website QR code button. Now, this is really helpful if you want to test it on your mobile device. You can literally scan that QR code with a regular QR code scanner, or just use the Photos app on your phone, which will recognize the QR code and then take you into your website without you having to type anything into the URL, which makes it way easier for you to test on mobile devices when the time comes for that. Here's the website add-ons page. We light up the add-ons that you have. Of course, all of these are for the EventScribe Live feature set. And if you book with us to do a virtual event, you'll be able to have a variety of these turned on depending on what your needs are. And the last thing I want to show on dashboards before we move on to the EventScribe website product is that when you are on the users page for the website now, you can click on a row and there is a new button that says QR code login. And this is also a very convenient way to do testing on your site, especially if you want to log in as a particular user. So when you click on the QR code login, it is going to give you a pop-up with a QR code that's personalized for your website and the person that you're looking to impersonate and log in as to do some testing. You can scan that QR code with a phone and it will log you into the website automatically without you having to type in the URL of the address and without you having to type in the username and password of the person. The other thing you can do with that QR code pop-up is simply just click the QR code and it will log you in automatically as well. It will automatically bypass the login screen and take you straight through to the main page of the site, which is a great way to quickly do testing, especially when you want to look at things like what's the experience of a user when they're logged in with premium access. Does everything work the way you've designed it to work? So now we're going to move on to the EventScribe website, and I'm going to start with an early preview of some of the new features that we're looking to share with you in a month on the May 21st webinar. So there's a lot of things we've introduced to EventScribe Live over the last 6 weeks, as you have started to consider flipping your event to be either a hybrid event or a virtual event. And there are still a lot of new features that we're basically readying to roll out for you to be able to use. Here's an example of one of them. This is an embedded activity feed right in the website. It uses the same reactive technology that we use on the mobile app for the activity feed that allows your attendees to post directly to the feed. This is a great example where it's really powerful to continue to use your mobile app in addition to the website, because it's so convenient for your attendees to use the app to take pictures and post them to the feed. And then anyone who's on the website can see the pictures as they come in. They can comment on them, they can like them. Now, an activity feed isn't just about getting engagement and a little bit of fun into your online event. It's also a great opportunity for you to get some sponsorship dollars. So you'll notice that right at the base of the activity feed, we've actually got a banner that is superimposed over the activity feed. And if I was scrolling up and down on the activity feed, that banner would stay there, sticky, right at the bottom. And of course, we're advertising just welcome to the activity feed, but you can have it be one of your sponsors, and that banner can link directly to wherever they would like it to link. You'll notice the banner's got a little Saturn kind of image on the right hand side that is jutting out from the banner and superimposed over the activity feed. Little touches like that really make the banner look really stylish and fit in with the look. The other sponsorship opportunity you have with the activity feed is you can have a conference banner or a sponsor banner automatically imprinted at the top of every photo that's posted to the activity feed. And that's a fantastic way to really get some benefit to your sponsor, because when people share that photo, the sponsor's banner will be superimposed on top of the photo. Now, you want to choose a tasteful banner because it's going to be on the top of each photo, but it's a great way to get a lot of impressions and a fun way for your attendees to interact and just share and be social with each other through your virtual event. We're also doing a lot of work on upgrading our booth information and exhibitor data so that it's a richer, more engaging experience. This is an example of one of the pop-ups that we're working on. You'll notice that there's a lot of content available that we've put in tabs that are linked on the left-hand side. There's an About Cadmium CD tab, which is where the pop-up would start by default. A Resources tab, where you can get to things like videos and press releases and links that a company chooses to share. An area to video chat with a sales rep. And this company, Cadmium, is participating in the scavenger hunt. And so when you click on the scavenger hunt tab, you're going to get to a panel for the scavenger hunt. Now, you'll also notice that we've got a nice blue banner all the way across the booth. That's an upgrade to the booth that an exhibitor might choose to participate in. Another great way to give them value, where they can really expand out the appearance and functionality of their online booth above and beyond the basic booth pop-up that we have offered in the past. You can see it's a very engaging experience with the scavenger hunt. You can see how many points you've accumulated. You got one-click access to the leaderboard to see where you are. There's a QR code to scan. If you are using our mobile app, it works much the same way that our current mobile app works, where you scan the QR code and answer a question to accumulate points. If you don't have a mobile app, you'll be able to use the EventScribe Live app, which comes with the whole EventScribe Live virtual event package in order to have people participate on a second device with the scavenger hunt. You'll notice at the bottom, we've got the ability to like exhibitors. We've got a new request information button, so you can request information directly to them. And of course, that does mean that we're going to be sharing with the exhibitors a lot of information about the people who've requested information. And for those attendees who've chosen to share their profile, that information, of course, will be shared with the exhibitor as well, if the attendee has opted in to share their involvement in the virtual exhibition. Now, we're expecting that when attendees log in, they're going to answer some basic questions, things like, what tracks do you prefer from the educational schedule? What are your preferences for the exhibitor categories? And what is your one statement for what you're looking to get out of the educational side of the conference, and one statement for what you're looking to get out of the exhibition side of the virtual conference? That information will then be used to match the users up with education material and exhibitor information so that we can provide a richer experience to them, and also provide the exhibitors with a little bit of weighted metrics for the people that have visited them that are better matches for the products that they offer. Here's another view on the same pop-up. In this case, we're on the About Cadmium CD tab, where you can see some badges in the middle that have been accumulated by that exhibitor by virtue of certain things they have, like being a partner or a sponsor. There's a video right on the main page as an introduction. So a lot of different things. You can see there's a vertical banner on the right-hand side, which is an optional add-on. Now, you may be thinking, how's an exhibitor getting all these things in their booth? How is that configured? We're doing a lot of work on the Expo Harvester so that you can actually have what we call virtual booth credits automatically associated with your exhibitors based on the booth spend that they had from your live event. So a 10 by 10 booth might get 4 booth credits, but a 20 by 20 or a 40 by 40 booth would get more booth credits. And you can have booth credits automatically assigned based on the sponsorship level of the exhibitor, the booth sizes that they have, one or more booths, and even the sponsor items that they purchased. And then there'll be a task for the exhibitors to go in and take their virtual booth credits and use them to expand their virtual presence. And obviously, the bigger the booth and the bigger the sponsorship spend they have, the more things they can add to their virtual booth and have a bigger, more impactful presence on the site. There'll be simple upgrades like expanded description lengths or more uses of their logo throughout the site, the ability to add these horizontal and vertical banners that you've seen, to add videos and press releases and other content. So there's going to be a lot of ways it can be done. And we're going to support automated assignment of those options or the ability of the exhibitor to self-select how they want to spend their credits to select those options for their virtual booth. Here's an example of the video chat tab where you can see the sales reps who are associated with the booth. The sales reps will have in the Expo Harvester designated their availability schedule during the hours of the virtual event, and they'll be available during the hours that they designate to be available for virtual chats or video chats with the attendees. They'll be able to do private chats or more public chats. It's really up to them how they choose to configure it, and it uses the same video chat infrastructure that we introduced a few weeks back. You can see here we've got a little banner ad on the right-hand side for a scavenger hunt. And then switching gears a little bit, we're working on a live stream lobby. So this shows you what it's like waiting for a live stream. So, a lot of attendees tend to show up, 5 to 30 minutes ahead of time. So this is a way for when they show up for them to designate if they would like to communicate with other attendees and whether they would like to be visible, and depending on their choices, they will be visible in the lobby where other attendees can search for them, connect with them, see who's around, and they can also, you can see on the top right side, you can go between the lobby and the speakers to get a sense of really what information you want to see while you're waiting for the live stream. And of course, once the live stream starts, the live stream will play in the middle, and you'll also be able to have the right-hand side switch over to the audience response system if you're using that. We also support rotating ads now below and above the live stream if you want. So it doesn't have to be just one sponsor ad. And of course, you'll be able to get metrics on those ads. So we're working on a variety of ways to get your data. In this case, this is showing a simple graph showing the number of participants in a video chat over time, as well as the total accumulated participants that have been in the video chat. You'll have this kind of graphical information for your video chats as well as your live streams. And we're also developing various export routines so you can export the data and even get granular, like look at a particular attendee and see what they did and what their level of engagement was. And of course, we'll be making all of this available to your sponsors appropriately for you to be able to share with them. So now we're going to get into the details of configuring your e-posters. So many of you, of course, are now looking at either a hybrid or a virtual event. For something like a poster, which is historically presented on a board in an expo hall, that may mean that you are looking at e-posters for the first time. So I think we offer a very comprehensive way for you to have poster information shared, whether someone's viewing it graphically, like you can see in this screenshot, kind of perusing thumbnails, or if they're searching through a list by category or by presenter or what have you. So we're going to get into today, not these kinds of features that we already shared 2 weeks ago. We're actually going to delve into the settings that drive them. Now, my intention with sharing all the settings we're about to look at is not for you to remember all of the settings. It's really so you see one or two that really spark for you and they're things you want to take advantage. Maybe it's something you want to take back to your project manager or sales rep and chat with them about how we might be able to use it for your event. So I've got a poster pop up in the middle here, and we've got a variety of settings surrounding it. And these settings really touch on the information that appears in the top part of the pop-up. The track, the category, the session, continuing education information, the location of the poster, things like that. So you now have a lot of options to be able to designate. Do you show the track? Do you show the category? Do you show the session? Do these things have labels in front of them or not? You can designate if you show the date and time or just the date. You can designate to show a location or not show a location. Obviously, if you don't have a live event, that part's not relevant, so you, of course, can hide that information. And you can decide if you're doing badges, you can decide if you're actually going to have large badges or small badges. One of the things I'm really happy that we've done recently is the ability to add badges really quickly for your posters. So for instance, if you've got some award winner posters, it's really easy to add a quick library of award badges to your harvester, then tag the posters that got the awards, and then the badges show up automatically right on the poster pop-up, which is a super convenient way. That means you can skip needing a graphic designer to create the graphics you need for that stuff, because we've got a pre-existing library of award badges ready to slap on the posters. So here's a few more settings. One of the ones I'm really proud of is the fact that we added an auto formatting setting for abstract text. Now, the abstract we're showing here is pretty basic, but if you're looking at a 500 or 1,000 word abstract, and you have 1,000 posters, you know there is a lot of variability in the formatting of the abstracts. We have a sophisticated algorithm that analyzes the abstract at runtime and auto formats it for the pop-up, so you don't have to spend hours and hours reading all the abstracts and doing a lot of HTML formatting on them because the presenters chose to kind of go rogue on how they format it. It looks at I think just over 50 different rules that it can apply to the abstract for auto formatting, and lays it out logically, one paragraph at a time, based on the scientific method. Now, it relies on a certain structure being part of the abstract, things like the words purpose colon or methods colon, and a whole bunch of other words being peppered through the abstract, but it will automatically format the different sections of the abstract, bold the headers of each section, separate each section by a couple of carriage returns, and really make the abstracts a lot easier to read. It really gets away from those typical formatting problems you have with 3 carriage returns randomly in the middle, and then the poster presenter who chose to use the scientific method headings for their sections, but wasn't consistent with formatting them the way you expected. So it's a great way to homogenize the look of all your abstracts and make everything look really professional. You can choose to inject the learning objectives above or below your abstract. You can choose the label for your learning objectives. You can choose where you want your presenters to appear. If you only have one person per abstract, it's great to be able to put that one person right above the abstract. Gives them a little more noticeability instead of being buried below the abstract. If you got 2 or 3 people, sometimes that's not the best choice, because those people are going to push the abstract maybe a little too far down the page. You can also designate if you want to show the disclosures or not. And if you do want to show the disclosures, you can designate where in relationship to other parts of the pop-up those disclosures will show. You can also choose to control the release of your abstract with an embargo, where you can designate when the abstract will release. It's all based on East Coast time, and you designate the date and time for the release, as well as what the color will be for the little bar that appears at the top of the poster pop-up to explain when the abstract will be released. And you can even have direct control over the messaging in that red bar if you want to. So for those of you that do controlled release of abstracts, this is a great way to get your poster information available, but hold the abstracts off until a predetermined date. We also support adding customizable text in the middle of the pop-up. You can see here where I've got the number of CEUs and the nursing credits. That's based on what we call the customizable text field, which can be injected either near the top or near the bottom. And that field allows you to use your custom fields along with HTML formatting in order to create a more customized arrangement of data, so that you don't have to go through hoops trying to manually edit abstracts to put it in. You can just kind of format it the way you want, and then it injects the appropriate values based on the hotkeys that you use in that field. If that all looks a little bit daunting to you, your project manager will be more than happy to step you through how to use that. But it's a great way to get that kind of more complex arrangement of data into your poster pop-up. Now, I know this is a little overkill on the settings. Again, the key is not to take away remembering all these settings. It's just to remember a few that really matter to you. So along the top, you can control, if you look at a view counter, the number of times the pop-up has been opened by other people. You can choose whether you show poster ratings. That's that heart symbol in the purple area near the top of the pop-up. You can choose to show a PDF of the poster, which is a relatively new thing for us, instead of just the e-poster. And you can choose all kinds of controls over the various buttons that appear on the pop-up. And even for the survey magnet evaluations, you can set up an embargo for those so that the survey magnet will become available on a certain date and it will close automatically on another date so that you can collect evaluations during a very discrete period of time. This just gives you a screenshot showing how we're showing the ratings. This was a gallery we did some time ago where we've had a lot of engagement from the various attendees. You can see this particular poster had almost 2,500 ratings. And in this case, this poster accumulated 47 users who had chosen to rate it an average of 4.5 hearts. More settings here. Again, maybe some of these will resonate with you. You can have audio, of course, with your posters. You can now enforce an embargo on the release of the audio. So even if you're recording it in the Harvester, you can hold it back from sharing it in your website until a particular date and time when you want to share the audio. You have control over the thumbnails of the e-posters, what access levels of users can get to the e-posters, the formatting of the poster numbers relevant to the title, all those kinds of things. So it's a lot of things you can control that you didn't used to have control over. With that, we're going to move over now to video chats. So you got introduced to video chats at our webinar a couple of weeks ago. And now we're going to get into, again, the details of setting this up. Now, the most important thing I think you should take away for the video chat system is that it's easy to set up. You basically will have a set number of video chat hours that you can schedule for your event. And those video chat hours are going to be for your education, for your posters, and when we do the webinar in May, for your virtual exhibition. Those video chat hours are used for things like chatting with poster presenters about their material, having a Q&A with a set of speakers or a panel. It's a great way to get online engagement between people. So adding them is really easy. Managing them is really easy. This screenshot here shows you the video chat page. In this case, we've set up a series of video chats for both presentations and posters. They show by default chronologically, but you can use the focus button in the top right to change how you view them. Maybe you want to cluster all the poster chats together and all the presentation chats together. And of course, when you click on a chat, you'll get basic information about it. In this case, the one I've clicked on here is a poster, and there's a description. Please join me at 8 a.m. for a chat about my poster. That is a description that shows to the end users when they roll over the video chat button. That video chat button will be available in this case from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., and it has a capacity of up to 12 people in the video chat room. So you can get a QR code to quickly scan with the EventScribe Live app and demo the video chat room. You can get to the attendance data with the attendance button. And of course, you can edit the video chat and change its properties. Now, in the video chat editor, there are some basic things like the title of the chat. That's actually automatically created when you spin up a video chat. Spinning up video chats, by the way, ridiculously easy. You can go to your poster page or your schedule page, checkbox multi-select the items you want. So you might go to your poster page and just select all of them and add video chats with just a couple of clicks. Those video chats will have the title automatically created. The start and end time will be by default the time for the posters or presentations that you selected. But of course, you can edit that later to make it a more refined period of time where you want to do the video chat. What you're essentially paying for is the total number of video chat hours you schedule. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. You can designate the number of attendees that the video chat will hold. There's some practical things here. We're going to allow you to have up to 75 attendees in a video chat, but that doesn't mean you want 75 attendees in a video chat, right? You might have a very large committee with 60 people, and you just say, you know what, I'm going to make it a 75-person committee meeting. Whoever joins, joins. I'm going to set it up where everyone's muted when they get in. The moderator will run it. It'll be fine. But if you're doing something like a poster Q&A, you want a more by definition, a more intimate atmosphere, a few people chatting with a poster presenter, you might limit that to something as small as 4 or 5 people just to keep it an intimate discussion and a functional discussion, because there'll be more back and forth for that kind of video chat. You can see that you can start your attendees muted if you want to. You can have control over how people access it. Now, by default, someone has to be logged in to the website in order to access a video chat. So by definition, it's not open access. You can't just Zoom bomb it, like you probably heard from places like Zoom. You have to be logged in to even get to it. When you get to it and you launch the video chat, we launch it with a 256-bit encryption on the information that launches the video chat. That gets decrypted at the server side. It figures out who it is and what that video chat they're going into, and then it launches the video chat. All of the video chat going to and from each person to the server is encrypted to protect their privacy. And if you want an extra level of security, in addition to them being logged in, you can also add either a shared access code or a private access code. So an example of a shared access code might be the word committee, right? So you might have 12 committee meetings. You probably have a variety of people that are in a few of the committee meetings. No one's in all of them, maybe except yourself. You can tell all the committee members, look, you can go to the website, you'll see the video chat, click on the video chat, it's going to ask you for a code, type in the word committee. Makes it really easy to communicate that. It makes it so the other attendees don't know how to get in, but it makes it simple to communicate to the committee members how they get in. The other access method you have for really controlling it from just the full attendee base is what we call a private access code. And when you generate a private access code, it'll be a randomly generated series of 9 digits, just like you would use in a GoToMeeting or another type of online meeting, WebEx, for instance. And then you just have to know, you have to tell people the specific code for them to log in. You can even go so far as to designate specific EventScribe users who have the authority to enter the video chat. Now that's getting kind of granular, but if you want to control it to that extent, you definitely can. And you can control the messaging that users see when they can't get into the video chat. You can also do mass edits on your video chat. So this is a great way to save yourself time. Let's say you add 72 post-to video chats and you want all of them to be in a 20-minute period on Tuesday. You can get that stuff changed en masse with this mass edit pop-up, and you can add things like the description and the sponsor ads to all these posters that you've multi-selected all at once. The video chat button also has a lot of things you can control with it. You'll notice that it's got a little red circle above it with the number 9. That's to indicate how many people are in the chat room when you go there. And you can control that functionality of the video button. So you can choose to just show the video button, or you can choose to show it at very discrete time frames. You might have it start popping up once the virtual event starts. You might have it open indefinitely until the end of the last day of the event. You have a lot of control over that visibility of that button. And it's not just the visibility of the button you can control, it's also the activity of the button. You can control it being visible, but you can also make it active only when the video chat is going to occur. Now, that is the default behavior for it, and employees at Cadmium will have the ability to have a little more control over the activity of the button to make it open for a longer period of time. But it's important to take away that for buttons like video chat, but it extends to other buttons too, you now have a lot of control over when the button shows up and when the button is active. And that's really important for those of you that are doing things like collecting videos in the Harvester or collecting slides, and you don't want to just show it en masse when it is collected. You want to roll it out at a certain period of time. So you can do things like show the button, but make the button not active for these things like videos and evaluations and other content, e-posters. You can actually make it active following logical rules, like maybe the video for a presentation is only available once the presentation starts and its availability ceases at the end of the event. So you'll have these options, these settings you see here for the video chat button, they're going to be available for all the key content buttons in the website. There's other things too that I won't get into today. Access level control over the content, the messaging, where someone goes when they don't have access. The important thing is to come away with is that we have a lot of control over these buttons that you didn't have the ability to control before. When you launch a video chat, you get a very nice pop-up, makes it really simple for the user. They can engage directly in their browser, or if they want to scan their personal QR code with the EventScribe Live app and automatically bump into the chat. Now, if a user downloads the EventScribe Live app and they scan one of these QR codes, it literally is about a half second for it to recognize the QR code and be in the chat with them automatically identified in the right video chat. And that's because the QR code is an encrypted listing with 256-bit AES encryption of who they are, which the app passes back to the server, which decrypts it, sends information back to the app, and joins them into the video chat room, making it near impossible to, frankly, reverse engineer. Now, we talked a little bit about sponsorship banners. You can add sponsorship banners to your video chats and to your live streams, and you'll learn more about adding these, I think, at the webinar in May and the users group in late May. When you have sponsor banners associated with things like video chats, you're going to have a sponsors column, and when you roll over the lit up icon, it's going to show you what sponsor banners are associated with that particular assets. And of course, you can edit these sponsor banners on a new page that we'll be releasing shortly, which allows you to add banners, and then they can be associated with things like video chats and live streams. All right, similar thing, but now for live streams. So just to kind of shift your thinking here, right? A video chat is for multiple people to come together and talk with each other over video. A live stream is for a presentation of video content that may be pre-recorded or may be live. It's for one or more presenters to have a video which is viewed by 1 to 10,000 people. Our live stream technology is enterprise grade. We can support up to 20,000 people watching at the same time. Configuring a live stream is very, very easy. For instance, we set up a live stream for today's user group so that our employees can watch it. It took 5 minutes to set up the live stream, build the audience response system, make it live, and send an email out to all the employees so they knew where to go. It's that simple to launch. When you're on the schedule, you can see which items have live streams. You have a live stream list, which you can look at. You can look at the attendance data. You can export the data. You can get a QR code to artificially enter the live stream for testing purposes before the event happens. It's really powerful and really simple. When you're editing a live stream, you can change, the look of the live stream player, background color, the way the header looks. You can change your banners. You can have rotating banners. You can define what the time is for the banner rotations. Really is simple and powerful. And then, of course, the live stream itself is pictured here. You've got the live stream going edge to edge, as much room as it can fit, with the ARS, of course, on the right-hand side, where your attendees can ask questions, have a discussion. Your banners appear above and below the video if you're looking to use sponsor banners, and those banners will rotate gracefully from left to right as you want them to on whatever rotation frequency you're looking for your sponsors. So last thing for today, I know we've covered a lot of material. We've got the Expo Harvester, where we've done a lot of work to help you to rebook exhibitors. I've got a couple of quotes here from a few clients who've used the rebooking tool over the last week. I think the quotes really do speak for themselves. We're really proud of what we've done with rebooking. It enables you to work with your exhibitors to either rebook them for the next year, or to have them choose to be canceled, or to have them choose to participate in your virtual event for the year. Now, it's really up to you how you want to position those choices to the exhibitor, but we've set up a series of tools that allow you to do this very efficiently. And I think for those of you that are involved in rebooking, you know just how long it can take and how much time it can suck from your schedule. So when you're on the company's page, you can click on a company, you can choose the rebooking tool, and then you can go through a series of choices where you select how you're rebooking them, how you want to roll their monies over to the next year, what you want to roll over, what you don't want to roll over. And then you'll automatically be able to get it rebooked and set up the next year if they are in fact rebooking with everything you need. Things like purchase items are rebooked to reflect the same name and pricing that existed in your current year. You'll see a credit that's been awarded to the company and the amount that they were paid for the current level. You'll get notes added to the company record, a note, for instance, about creating a payment item and what it was based upon. So it's easy for you to reconcile things, especially the next year when you're trying to make sense of how did this all get put together. You've got checkbox multi-select to do things like swapping booths assignments. When you're using the rebooking tool for purchase items, there's some really helpful ways to get things in place for the next year, whether it's the booth numbers or the physical booth location for your future event. We really try to make it easy for you to go through this process. One of the things I'm really happy with is in the new dashboard, one of the widgets we've got, in addition to things like looking at how you're tracking against budgets, like you can see here in the screenshot, you can also see exactly how you're doing with rebooking for the canceled companies. So you can see who's not decided yet, who's rebooked, who's canceled out of all the companies. So as you go through your rebooking process, it's a great way to keep track. Now, with that, we've come to the end. Before I get into the questions, I just want to draw your attention to our webinar that we've got on May 21st. This will be the third in a three-part series of webinars on virtual events. This third one will focus on attendee engagement and virtual expo features. You're going to learn in this webinar how a lot of what you saw previewed at the beginning of this users group, how you can have the booths get credits that can be used either automatically or if you want your exhibitors to self-select how they use their credits to upgrade their virtual booth. You'll learn about how you can have your attendees categorize themselves at the beginning of their experience and use that to make matches with the educational material and the expo material in your virtual event. We'll talk about things like the scavenger hunt, and of course, maybe most important of all, reporting of the data and the engagement for both your own association and for your exhibitors and sponsors. So that'll be May 21st, 1:30 to 2:30. Although if it's like the last one we did, maybe that'll be 3 o'clock with all the questions. So with that, we're going to go through the questions that we've received today. I'm just going to read through them one by one and answer them. If you've got a question you haven't typed in, by all means, please go ahead and type it in, and I'll be happy to answer all the questions that come in today. So the first question is, if we create new virtual sponsorship levels in our event, will the completed task information for those sponsoring companies erase once we switch the company's sponsorship level to the new virtual sponsorship levels? It will not be erased. That information will be retained, so you won't have to worry about that. Next question is the video chat with a sales rep feature. Would this be in real time where the sales rep will have to be on standby at the computer during their event? So if you want to take advantage of that feature where it's real-time video chat, they would be. You would have scheduled hours in much the same way that you do for your live event. And the sales reps who have chosen to be part of the event would be available for video chat. They would be able to engage when an attendee engages them. They would sit in the video chat. We're going to make it very easy for the exhibitors to have it on a second device so they can continue to do work and be in the video chat waiting on their mobile device. And we're also going to provide you with tools and the exhibitor tools. So when they're in that video chat, they can access information, not just about the person they're chatting with, but just information that they need to have a productive conversation. Next question is, are these presentation slides available after the webinar? They absolutely are. So we post them typically towards the end of the day for a users group. Right in the training section of MyCadmium, there's a section for user group webinars, and you'll find the slides and the video recording right there. Next question is, can the live stream lobby be added in between sessions to replace coffee breaks, for example? Yes, it can be. You'll be able to configure it so that you can have it as a coffee break or whatever you want to be able to call it to enable that kind of social interaction between education. And I mean, I think it's safe to say we're all learning a lot about how to design a successful virtual meeting. And I personally believe that scheduled social interactions between the attendees and the exhibitors and the attendees and the education components like speakers and presenters is a critical part of the schedule. And you schedule it in much the same way that you did for a live meeting. We got a Josh Groban comment, which I won't read, but it's kind of funny. Then we have, will the exhibit hall floor plan be a way for attendees to navigate, or is the exhibit hall presented in a list view? Now, that's a great question. We had so much material to share at today's user group that I didn't even share the fact that we've got a brand new floor plan. Ironically, we started on that about a month ago and just haven't been able to slip it into the user group or the last webinar we did. But we do have a updated floor plan that loads faster, makes it easier to search things, has some sponsorship opportunities. And you will see that featured in the May 21st webinar, if by no other reason that it has sponsorship opportunities for that floor plan that we'll be going over. Now, we are looking at augmenting our searchability of exhibitors to make it a more visual browsing experience. I hope that when you see what we're doing in May, you'll agree that we've been able to get a more visual experience for browsing the material. One of the things I'll just bring into the foreground here that we're exploring is this kind of full screen booth pop-up that allows you to have the pop-up be very much the focus of the experience of the user. In this case, there's an audio introduction to the content that is in the bottom center. You can very quickly browse between booths linearly with the forward and backward buttons in the bottom right. You can see the information that's in the booth pop up and interact with it in much the same way you always would. And in the top, you can see a more visual browse, kind of a carousel of logos for the different booths that you'll near. We're also looking at different mechanisms for searching visually, where the size of logos is proportional to the booth size and arranged in kind of a nice mosaic. Suffice to say, we're trying a lot of different things and seeing what our clients like. If you're interested in being part of providing feedback on some of these options that we're developing, please talk to your Expo Harvester or website project manager, because we're really looking for clients who have a very keen sense of what they're looking for in their virtual exhibit. I can promise you that we're not going to be a company that creates a SimCity style virtual expo with 3D avatars walking around a 3D part of the screen. We're very much on just core functional search and information, and not the 3D kind of isometric view of an exhibit hall. We're really trying to just make it information and searchable. So the next question is, with the e-posters, is the top banner color organized by track? And I think you're referring to the track information that's at the top of the e-posters. I'm going to bring a screenshot of that up here. So you can choose to have your tracks represented as colors. And if you do, and it's multi-track, for instance, you'll see multiple tracks, and those tracks will be arranged in little colored pills that correspond to the track colors. The purple that you have at the top here, that is kind of the standard primary color for this particular website. That color does not change with the track that you're on, and you'll notice it matches the purple buttons at the bottom. Next one is for e-posters. Can the Q&A button be shown or hidden for each specific poster? It absolutely can. So with the audience response system, you can configure which posters will get a discussion board and which will get Q&A, and you can turn them on or off for any poster you like. So maybe you only want to do Q&A for your award winners. Maybe that represents 10% of your posters. Not a problem. It's very simple to just click through the posters you want it active for, and that button will only show for the posters that have the audience response system activated. Next question is also on e-posters. If our website is hosted on a .net versus a .com domain, are we able to add the e-posters, and will we still be able to use these new settings, or will we have to work with our product specialist? That's a great question. So what that refers to is, for some of our larger clients who have large events, we like to stage their website on a dedicated server so that they can have lots of traffic and not be concerned with it being shared with other clients. We put just a few websites on that server environment at a time. So the simple answer is we're doing all our development as fast as we can and getting it tested and qualified on our .com EventScribe domain, and we'll be making it available in June on our .NET EventScribe domain. So don't worry about an event that you have on the .NET infrastructure. It will be able to get it. It's not going to be a problem. It just won't be immediate at the moment, and that's honestly just because we're going as fast as we can to build these things out, and trying to support it in 2 parallel environments at the same time will just slow us down a little bit during this period of development. Next question is also about posters. The embargo release date for posters. Is there a setting in the educational harvester for the abstracts that have been migrated from the scorecard? So I see where you're going there. I think what you're saying is that you want to embargo the abstracts that were migrated, but not embargo other abstracts. Right now, the way the embargo works is it works on all the abstracts for the posters or all the abstracts for the presentations. If you wanted to embargo a subset of those, that's something you'd want to work directly with your project manager, and they may have to go to a more manual mechanism to facilitate it being a more selective embargo. That's not to say we can't do it. It does depend on the complexity of your data and the size of your product, your website. But it's definitely a conversation you can have with your project manager and see what options are available. Next question is, for committee or private meetings, we can hold these within the Cadmium website without the meeting appearing within the full schedule. Yes, you can definitely do that. So what we would do is we would stage a menu item in the navigation, which is available to only a subset of your users. So let's say you wanted to have a menu item that was only available to committee members. Now, this does require a pro-level website, but having a pro-level website opens you up to custom fields for your users. And when you do that, you can stamp your committee members with a committee tag, and then we can have the menu item on the left-hand side of the website key off of that and only show for people tagged with the committee tag. And then we can provide a schedule of the committee meetings so that only they see them, which makes it frankly less confusing for the attendees and clearer for those people who are attending those meetings. All right, next question is, can we add sponsor banners to the pre-recorded session presentations? Now, I'm assuming you're referring to pre-recorded presentations that are available from a video button on the presentation pop-up as opposed to the live stream. And the simple answer is maybe. So if you have chosen to have pre-recorded presentations which have been recorded outside of our system, and you've got links to them, maybe a link to YouTube or Facebook video, something like that, the answer is no. It links to wherever the link goes that your speaker or you provided. If you have got it in our system where you've chosen to use the new task that we'll be launching probably within the next week for presentation links that allows you to have your speakers record a video and upload it directly into our infrastructure, then that video will play in a dedicated player, which will have the same sort of sponsor opportunities you saw for live stream and for video chat. The next question is, can you support a live stream with remote speakers calling in to present from various locations, or is it for called ODB, which takes a hot minute to set up, but we walk your speakers through it, and it's very powerful. It allows them to record a quality feed that we then weave together in a virtual control room online and move into the live stream that appears to the users. So the virtual control room that our audio team operates is kind of like the people that sit at the back of a general session. It's a bunch of equipment that merges streams together. That's what we do, just virtually and not at a live event. So you can have one speaker, you can have a panel of 4 people, and that information is merged together, even if they're in different locations, gracefully into one stream. Something like that is something that we would always want to stage and appropriately manage well ahead of time so everyone's clear on their role. And oftentimes it's not unusual to have some of it pre-recorded and some of it live, depending on how much complexity you want to manage at the time. We can do all of that. And the key takeaway for you is the price of something like that is proportional to the number of recording locations. So if you had one person recording for a live stream, it's going to cost you less than if you've got 4 different people in 4 locations being merged into the same live stream. And of course, any of our sales reps can talk you through the details of that so you can plan accordingly. Next question is, auto formatting of the abstract text. Is this used only on the ePasters, or does it actually change the actual abstract data in the harvester, which might then affect reports we need to run? It's a wonderful question. So we're actually live formatting the data at runtime when a user sees it. We're not affecting the raw data, and we're not affecting the reports that you export. I think that's really important because the reports you export are kind of gospel, right? Whether it's formatted right or wrong, you want it to be consistent after you've exported it for your journal or program book. So this auto formatting is happening live on the pop-up in real time as a kind of preventative way to homogenize the formatting of the abstracts without affecting the raw data. Next question is, can you expand on how the video chat with a sales rep will work in a virtual booth? What happens when you click on the available sales rep? So assuming that the sales rep is available, which you'll know because there'll be a green indication right under the video chat thing, you'll click on the video chat where you'll get a pop-up that provides you a brief introduction for joining the chat. That pop-up is going to essentially ask you if you want to use the EventScribe Live app or if you want to just access it with your browser. And when you click through to the browser option or you scan the QR code with your EventScribe Live app, you'll join the chat room with the sales rep. And then it's really at the discretion of the sales rep then. Do they want to mark themselves as not available because they're in a private meeting, or do they want to keep it open? It's kind of akin to someone walking over to the booth. You might have a casual conversation with them and happy to have someone else walk in, depending on the level of engagement you're getting from the participant. And if you're getting a lot of engagement, you might choose to close down the video chat temporarily while you have a private conversation with that user, thereby stopping other people from coming into it until you're finished. And then when they leave, you can mark yourself as available again. Next question is there a QR code option to access a sponsor or exhibitor profile? And is it the same way in the same way to access an attendee? So I think you're not referring to video chats with that question. I'm assuming you're talking about actually accessing the profiles. And we are actually exploring putting QR codes embedded throughout the system. We shared, I think, a slide at the last webinar with a QR code button that would bring up a QR code for a presentation. So while listening to the audio, you could scan the code and get supplemental information on your mobile app. Personally, it's something I'm really passionate about. And we're hoping that embedding them throughout the system, and you'll see it in more than just the presentation audio player by the May webinar, you'll be able to have your attendees get the most out of both screens, the mobile app to scan things and get supplemental information on a second screen while they're engaging on their maybe their single screen laptop. Next question is the video chat available for exhibitors or only posters? Basically, video chat's available for 3 parts of your meeting: presentations, posters, or the exhibitors. And depending on how you're using it and how many hours you have, that affects the cost of the EventScribe Live package. Next question is, for a video chat set up at a non-exhibit time, can it still use the system, or should they schedule for an off time with another tool? That's a fair question. I think at this stage, I might be not able to answer that because we're definitely still exploring that. One of the things we're grappling with at the moment is this concept of virtual booth credits, and they're using it for exhibitors to kind of extend their virtual booth presence. One of the options we're definitely going to consider would be a persistent virtual video chat room that would be available whenever they want to use it during the life of the hybrid or virtual event. That would cost them some number of virtual booth credits, and it wouldn't necessarily be at a set scheduled time. I'm not sure if we'll be releasing that in the May webinar or not, but it's definitely something we are considering at the moment. Next question is, for the virtual exhibitor upgrades and credits, will there also be an option for exhibitors to purchase the add-ons if they don't have enough credit for them? Great question. There definitely will be. So we're basing the virtual booth credit system directly off what we did for registration badge allocation for exhibitors. And it's going to have the same ability to add virtual booth credits as we do with reg badges. So let's say you had a 10 by 10 booth. They had 6 credits to upgrade their booth. They really wanted 9 credits. They could buy 3 extra credits at whatever price you designate, and then use that to extend their virtual booth presence. I think it's actually a really great option for you because you may be considering doing a virtual conference with a relatively depressed booth price, but this gives you the ability to inflate that price for the exhibitors that see some value in some of these virtual exhibit options. And it allows you to monetize that. It works very much off of what you may be used to with the exhibitor upgrades task, where you set up an upgrade task specifically for virtual booth credits. And when they add credits, they can then allocate those credits directly to upgrade their booth. Next question is there a tier level for EventScribe Live? If we don't use all the features, can we select which ones we want to utilize now? Yes. So we do have a tier level. You can basically select which of the EventScribe Live modules you're looking for, and we'll come up with a package for those modules. We are looking to stage the various modules into several groups to make it really easy to select what you want, kind of an A, B, or C selection. And then the pricing based on what you select is based on the scale and size of your conference. We are working hard to make it simple to pick these things, and I hope when you see what we present at the May webinar, you'll come away with that conclusion. Next question is, we don't make our live and website available to exhibitors, but only to registered attendees. In order to use the video chat with a sales rep in the virtual booth feature, would exhibitors need to have accounts in the website? So they would, because we do need to keep it secure. However, we've built that in from the ground up so that we can have the access level of the user control what they can see and what they can get into. So for instance, let's say you had all your exhibitors at basic level, and you designated your presentation pop-ups to show the content, but not have any buttons visible for basic level. You can basically hide all of those things from the exhibitor. If you want to show them to the exhibitor, but not have them be available to use to the exhibitor, you can do that too. We've actually gone through and added a ridiculous number of settings to describe access level control over, I think, just about every content button that we have on presentations and posters. So you can really get acute control over what exhibitors can get to and give them enough information to get in, see the general schedule, and give them the ability to engage with their virtual booth, but not give them things that they didn't have before that they're not paying for. Next question is, will the video presentations, the slides and audio that are uploaded via the Harvester be able to be downloaded for archival purposes? Absolutely. We did talk about that at the last webinar, the ability to go into the task report for that particular task in the Harvester and to export to MP3 and MP4 and then get those links available somewhere else. So that's something I think if you want to talk to your project manager about, they can get you comfortable with how that will work. So when the time comes for you to export it for archival purposes, you'll be able to. There will, of course, be a cost for that, depending on whether you're doing just raw audio export or MP4 export. Your project manager can kind of open the conversation and then get you introduced to your sales rep to talk cost data. And the last question in the list is, can the Expo sales rep video chat button be replaced with an email rep button? So the answer is yes. We actually have already done a lot of work which is finished for having a new task in the Expo Harvester for the staff in your booth to contribute their information, their photo, biographical information, contact information. And in our mobile app, we support showing that in a, I think we call it a sales rep section. We haven't really pushed that because we're really focusing on the website at the moment. And that will be available in the virtual booth experience that we'll be introducing in May. So, if you weren't doing video chat, you might have a tab for sales reps and it shows all your sales reps and each one has a profile pop-up with a lot of information, including the ability to email them. It wouldn't email them direct, it would send them a message from the system and then they can choose to engage based on that message. So with that, we have come to the end of all the questions. I want to thank all of you that have stuck around to the very end. I hope this has kind of opened your mind up to how you can use the EventScribe Live platform to share things like e-posters, engage your attendees with video chat and with live streaming, and gave you a sense of what's coming up in the next month when we do the May 21st webinar. You may have some questions. Of course, our project managers and sales reps are available to answer those. But I hope you got a little bit of a taste on how you're going to use these new features with your virtual event, and we look forward to doing that with you over the coming months. Thank you.